In this video, we're going to be going over the accent braid. So what the accent braid is it's a piece of hair that is braided and then sent either back or underneath the hair. It could go to the back here and then be clipped off with a barrette or tucked under the hair. But what you do need to know is that an accent braid doesn't take up a lot of this front part of the hair, right? It doesn't travel. The braid is not a traveling braid. It's a stationary braid. So wherever we pick it up, we could even pick the hair up from here. But once we pick that hair up and braid it and just use that, yeah, that's what we call an accent braid. So we can do it on the right, we can do it on the left, or we could even do both if we wanted. But the main differentiation between an accent braid and a partial would be the partial actually travels down the head in a traveling like French braid style. So we're going to use the hair on the scalp versus just pulling a section and braiding it. So there you go. That is our accent braid explanation, and let's get right into it. So first we need to determine where we're going to part. So if we want to do only one side, it's nice to do a side part. Okay. Now, you could leave this side down with curls, and you could pull this side back with just one braid here. Okay, if you wanted to create a really dramatic angle, or we could do one here so that it's balanced on either side of the head, but this braid is pulled back, to make it look a little bit more mature. We can always leave out, she doesn't want to go this direction in her part, but we could always leave little hair out of the front. So it's not like it has to look childish with one little piece. We can make it look more mature by leaving some nice hair around the face and giving it some curl. Yeah, so that is your placement for the accent braid. So let's go ahead and braid this so we can talk about how to secure it. Okay, so the trick with the partial is to really make sure you have enough hair, or else the braid's going to be so small that it doesn't really look that cute. So we're going to go ahead and do a reverse braid. And I'm going to aim it a little down first, and then slightly angle backwards. Okay, so now I'm going to deconstruct this braid a little bit. Okay, so now that we have this all tied off, if we need to do any last fixes, I would do it now before you hide it. So make sure everything's good and perfect and how you want it. Anything's covered that you want covered. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want it to hide about here, but I don't want it to go all the way around. So I'm gonna kind of draw a diagonal line down. Okay, so I want it to go about there. Okay, so now I'm going to move this hair away so that I can use this hair down here. If the hair is curled, just be really careful that you're not messing up the hair and combing through it too much. So that's why I would just lift it and curl it as is, and don't worry so much about it being up. You don't want to disturb anything. Okay, so now that we know where we want to attach it, we need to grab a little section not too small. If you grab a little bit, then it'll pull on the scalp and not feel good. So we need to grab a relatively large section, avoiding the hairline so that you can't ever see this. So now we have our hair. We have our braid. We're gonna stick our little topsy tail through one or two of these elastics. The tighter it is, the harder it's gonna be around the loop. So it just depends on how big of a loop you've got. I've got a fairly large one, so it should be interesting. So now we have our hair through the loop and our loop through the elastic, and we're going to just convince this loop that it needs to go through that elastic and pull the hair all the way through. So now we have this little tie and the braid is secure. Okay, so there we go. Now this won't move. Okay, if I want it tighter, I could give it a little pull. I'm not going to do anything until I do a little test to lay it down and see how it looks. Okay, I think it looks pretty good, but I am going to tighten it a little. Okay, and there we go. So we have this will always create a slight gap where you have space in between. The fatter the braid, the more space will be in between. Curling will help disguise this, but another way to do it is to grab the hair right under here and tease just a little underneath, so we're not coming from above, we're coming from underneath, and then just spread it out a little, and this will just help give a little bit of volume here, and then you can do the same thing on the upper piece. And then just make sure you, with your tail comb, hide that. Okay, so that's one way to kind of hide that gap a little bit better, and you could do more if you wanted. So there you go, there's our partial. And remember that it's not about this braid, it's about the sectioning and the amount of hair that's taken. So this will look really good once it's got a nice wave in it. I would curl it always first and then do this. And then this section is down. Or you could do another accent braid on this side if you wanted to. And take that back and either meet it here, right? Or you could meet it all the way over. So it's opposite. So remember, you can always add another accent if you want, and it's not about, it doesn't have to be right at the hairline like that. I could take this piece again and do it here if I wanted. Yeah, so what the point of an accent is, the hair that you start with, you braid all the way and use that braid only. You're not adding like a French style. So there you go, there's an accent braid. Feel free again to take it anywhere you want. You could even clip this over the top and use a little hair accessory instead of hiding the elastic. You should always too cover your elastics here so that you don't ever see them pop out. Let's say she's just moving around and dancing like crazy, you don't want to see that. So I would always just cover that either before you secure it or now, but just don't leave that exposed. So there you go. Finish this off with some nice wand curls and you're good to go.